I suppose that this video, being a bit on the dark side, is probably appropriate. I'm going to talk a little bit today about the, frauds and deceit and fraudulent conveyances. We're going to explore a little bit into the complex, mystical, magical, hocus-pocus world of black magic, voodoo, and fraud. Now, I want people to understand that I've been around Tangled Up fishing line for 6 decades. You know, those big balls of tangled up, snarled fishing line that people usually go crazy trying to untangle. Well, the world of fraud is sort of like a big ball of tangled fishing line. And it's designed that way to be so complex and so confusing and exasperating that most people can never really figure it out. Sort of like why all these FBI and Justice Department investigations into the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton-Bush initiatives, always seem to fail. They never seem to get to the bottom of how it is that the Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas swipe and steal vast sums of money and move it all around the planet with a bunch of weapons and, ordnance to arm the opposition rebels and the, the Contras and the Mujahideen and the ISIS and the Al-Qaeda. The freedom fighters, as old Ronald Reagan used to call them. Well, let's get back to the ancient black art of fraud and deceit and fraudulent conveyances. In today's world, there are millions upon millions upon millions of people that are very well familiar with the fact that trillions went up in smoke, trillions vanished. And they like to call this stuff money, but it's not really even money. It's actually shin plasters. It's the garbage that they print up over at the Federal Reserve, and it goes poof, right? Everybody's heard about this stuff. They print about it and write about it and talk about it, and they make videos. Of course, they make videos about it copiously. Chicago Tribune, LA Times, San Francisco Examiner, the Orlando Sentinel, the Houston Chronicle, Albany Times-Union, Mother Jones News. There's a good one for you, Mother Jones, old Adam Hawkschild up there in the Adirondacks. He's very familiar with the hocus-pocus, black magic, voodoo world of complicated, sophisticated fraud schemes. Adam Hawkschild, his family's kind of part of that world, along with the Rothschilds. But let's get back to the point of this video. I grew up on Andia Tarakte, there in the land of the Abenaki on Turtle Island, today known as New York. Not Old York, it's New York, there where the Dutch and the Calvins, oh boy, those Calvins, the Albany City, the Albany Corporation, not Albany City, but the Albany Corporation's lawyers, Andrew Calvin and his little spawn there, his little squirt there, Verplank Calvin, and all those land swindling and land schemes of the Dutch and the English and the French. Right out of the starting blocks, America was a land grabbing, land stealing fraud. They came across the Atlantic in boats with lots of weapons and soldiers to establish colonia along the Atlantic beach. This is what empires do. They go out, they establish colonia, and arm them, and put a bunch of soldiers in them, and then they take over the surrounding territory. This is the story of New England, not Old England, New England. Then there was, George Washington and Jefferson, and the boys had them a little, they call it a revolution. It was really more of a mutiny. They mutinied against the English royal family and the Dutch, and they set up what they call America with their the Supreme Court of sophists there. The sophisticated sophists and prevaricators of the Supreme Court, with the Congress and the Senate, you know the whole story. The constitutional form, the Republican form of government that we've got. It's been nothing but a complicated series of frauds, schemes, scams, and fraudulent conveyances ever since. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, all that land that the royal families gave to the homies, to the brothers of the empire, all that land that were given to, like, Sir Walter Raleigh and the New Hampshire grants and the Plymouth Company, and it just goes on and on. The Ohio Company, all that land that the British Royals, how do they do that? They've got the pinky wagon out there. That's supposed to be that gene that signifies they're royal. They go like this, I guess. That sophisticated scheme called land patents and land grants that they brought over with their wooden sailing ships to give away Canada, the United States, South America, and Central America, Mexico and Panama. They gave it all away to their royal pals. One problem was that the royals did not own it to give it away. The royals didn't own it to give it away. So, there's kind of the giveaway. That's the tell of this sophisticated prestige of hocus pocus, abracadabra, presto changeo. Now it belongs to the Federal Reserve. Oh man, we're going to have to throw a brick in here. We're just going to have to throw a brick. And take a real hard, close, long look at this magical, fantastical, never-ending series of sophisticated sophisms and prevarications. Amazing stuff. This is how you do the old fraud and deceit and fraudulent conveyances. I just want to let everybody give American jurisprudence a plug here. Oh, and here's the evidence of it. You can't forget the evidence. You gotta have the scientific evidence to demonstrate what it is you're talking about. It's the truth. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cut this one a little bit short because it gets a little sophisticated. But fraud is sort of like magic, or like a Rubik's Cube, if you will. A lot of people are confused by that Rubik's Cube, and they can't hardly ever figure it out. And then there's the people that designed the Rubik's Cube. Excuse me. There's people that invent those magic tricks of, 3-card Monte and hide the P under the shell. Yeah. One of my favorite ones is the magical little trick tables that they used when they saw the woman in half. That's a pretty interesting one. And then, of course, Ronald Reagan used to call it smoke and mirrors. And Donald Trump says everything's rigged. It is. President Trump. It's all smoke and mirrors and hocus pocus and abracadabra. Presto changeo, President Trump. This Bush-Clinton scheming and scamming is really not all that complicated.